Show. This is the show where I read an article a day to keep my stupid away. You learn something, I learn something, we grow together. Today's article is entitled, Do You Want to Have an Amazing Legal Psychedelic Spiritual Experience Without Leaving Your Home? I guess that means not taking drugs for this? So this article interested me because I've experimented with microdosing in the past. That's what I used, mushrooms. I saw this and I was like, I'd like to have a legal experience. What does this have to teach me? By Tony Stratford. Let's find out how we can have an amazing legal psychedelic experience without leaving our homes. Tony writes, today we have a smorgasbord of spiritual teachings and psychedelic experiences for us to choose from. We have Burning Man and similar festivals all over the planet. Celebrities like Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock promote participating in ayahuasca ceremonies. Terrence McKenna was an exponent of ingesting mushrooms and smoking marijuana to achieve his insights. Microdosing LSD has become trendy to help with performance enhancement and creativity. Opinion is polarized on reality perception altering drugs due to all types of personal and moral beliefs. And the legal system in the Western world is draconian at best when dealing with this issue. It's 100% true. With more and more research that comes out, we're finding out that psychedelics may actually be helpful in doing things like controlling anxiety, reducing stress, and making us more creative and more open and more loving as people for our fellow man. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Darkroom Retreat. The Darkroom Retreat? The Darkroom sounds like something that evil version of the X-Men would use. Yeah, I'm going to get my training in the Darkroom today. I'm assuming just my initial reaction to this is that it is a dark room that you just live in for a while? What? This has been a practice done by humans for thousands of years all across cultures and geographies. It is one of the reasons hermits lived in caves. Huh. Unlike the temporary spiritual adventures listed above, this experience will stay with you for a lifetime and alter your view of reality forever. Tony. Big promises. The science. Absence of light and how it affects your body. By immersing yourself in a totally dark environment, your body undergoes chemical changes naturally. Basically, your normal melatonin production regulated by the pineal gland is altered. This gland creates melatonin in the dark while you sleep at night and then stops producing melatonin as the natural light of day wakes you up in the morning. However, if you stay constantly in a dark environment over a few days, your bloodstream is already adequately supplied with melatonin. The pineal gland recognizes this feedback and switches its production process from melatonin to DMT. DMT was made popular by author Rick Strassman and has also been the reason people flock to South America to participate in ayahuasca ceremonies. But there is a downside to the dark room. Just Cyclops in the dark room. Pew, pew, pew. In today's fast-paced beta brainwave world, we've become accustomed to quick results and feedback. The people of ancient times had the opposite type of lifestyle. To achieve natural DMT production in the body takes around 5 days to fully take 5 days? 5 days? Who's got 5 days? To achieve natural DMT production in the body, it takes around 5 days to fully take effect and really benefit from the process. You need about 12 days of immersion in total darkness. Wait a second, Tony. You're telling me that I've got to immerse myself in a room for 5 days, up to 12 days to have this spiritual experience? I don't know if I've got the time for that. 12 days? That's a long time to be in a dark room. And then how am I going to move around and feed myself? And that sounds nuts to me. But apparently, Tony did it. My personal darkroom retreat. Now, some scientists may dispute the chemical changes caused by the pineal gland, so there's really only one way to know if it's true. Do it yourself. Days 1 through 3, blindfolded in a dark room. Being blindfolded meant I had to adjust to eating, washing, and going to the bathroom. Boredom is the first hurdle to overcome. For my family, it was like living with a blind person. When the kids went off to school and my wife to work, I just sat in silence all day. Days 4 to 6, body detox and loss of time. Hey, if you like my content, hit that subscribe button and mash that bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. Thank you. The concept of time disappeared other than the noises my family made. This was also when the detox started and I was totally unprepared for this. It felt like I had a fever and I lay in bed shivering with hot and cold sweats. Actually, interesting that he had this experience because first of all, he said that there's no side effects. So clearly there's some sort of side effect going on. It's not side effects of taking a chemical substance, but there's still some side effects here. Additionally, I did a breathing workshop at one point in my life, and it was one of the most painful and excruciating things that I've ever done. It sounds nuts, but I felt like I was sick. My body clenched up. My muscles were flexed the whole time. I have no idea why it happened, but it felt like maybe my body was releasing a bunch of anxiety or something, and all we were doing was breathing. It was nuts. Anyways, it felt like I had a fever, and I lay in bed shivering with a hot and cold sweats. Intuitively, it felt like part of the initiation into the process my body and mind were entering. We use our eyes constantly whilst awake, and our bodies become so rhythmically attuned to day-night cycles. When this process is interrupted, your whole state of awareness changes. My appetite dropped, and I only felt like having vegetable soup most of the time. That sounds kind of nice to save some money. Days 7 to 10. The fever passed, and I felt wonderful. This is when the magic truly began to happen. Lucid dreaming is off the charts, and I don't just mean dream recall and lucidity. It's the colors and vibrancy that truly amaze you. The statement of the kingdom is within is spot on here. You do a lot of traveling out of body, but it occurs within yourself, so it more of inner world traveling while still connected to the body. That sentence still, I've read it 3 times, confused me. Almost like being on a water slide, only you are in a wormhole within yourself. While awake, your inner vision seems to be streaming geometric shapes constantly. Days 11 to 17, the deep dive. Now, I had only planned to do this very weird experiment for 12 days. I had already told close friends and family they would see me within 2 weeks before starting this journey. Well, that all changed when my inner awareness became my primary focus. Now I understand why the Taoist monks would undergo this process for 30 to 40 days. The Taoist monks would go into a dark room, or I guess cave, for 30 to 40 days? I just don't know. How are people doing this? Who's feeding them? Once you switch over from outer awareness to inner awareness, you realize that your previous view of reality was so limited. And it's very difficult to describe unless you experience it yourself. And it's also why it's so superior to short-term experience of DMT via ayahuasca or other methods. I wish that he would have gone into his experience a little bit more than just that, because it just said, hey, I had this crazy experience. But like, I don't know, what did you realize? What was the spiritual awakening that you had? The unified field. Once your awareness is primarily an inner perspective, your viewpoint changes. During the latter stages of my retreat, I became acutely aware every time somebody thought about me, even people I did not deal with much in my life. For example, a person in my town wanted me to help fix their laptop, which I saw in a dream days before I finished my retreat. Sure enough, they phoned me asking for help a few days later. We are truly all connected in a unified field. So that's very interesting. He had precognition skills in the dark room. I mean, that I feel like should be studied in some way, some scientific study about precognition, because what is this, Minority Report? Finishing the darkroom retreat. I removed my blindfold in the morning after waking up. As my eyes had not been used for 17 days, that's intense, I nearly walked into the bedroom door not seeing it until I was inches from it. My daughters thought I actually looked younger. My eyes had just had a nice holiday too. Then I went outside into nature, the park across the road, and was just in awe of what nature expresses for us to enjoy. It was truly humbling. It took me a few days to adjust back to normal life again, but the experiences altered me forever. I highly recommend this for everyone to try. You can attend professional retreat centers that will cater to your every need, or with a little help, you can do it yourself at home. All mind-altering substances produced by your own body with no laws broken in the process. This is actually very interesting. One, I had never heard about a darkroom retreat, and it's also fascinating to learn that there is science behind spending time in a very dark place for an extended period of time and having your body chemically induce something. As I've suffered from anxiety for a long time, I've always been curious where that originates in the brain, what's happening chemically, what's happening at like a cellular level in my brain when I'm feeling anxiety, and why is that happening? So knowing that people can experience psychedelic trips without actually taking psychedelics, I think is super fascinating. But for a normal person who has a normal job, I can't see how this would be a convenient or even practical way to experience DMT and to have these sort of spiritual awakenings. Blindfolding yourself for 17 days, having you have to have somebody around to feed you. It just sounds very impractical from a logical standpoint of being blindfolded for 17 days. But with that being said, there are blind people who just exist like this all the time. So I would also be curious how a blind person experiences this. Is this a having a vision thing and then losing your vision and then having your brain take over and adjust for it? Or is this something that blind people, for example, are experiencing all the time as they don't have vision 24/7? Would you be willing to try out a darkroom retreat? Are you going to go train with the evil X-Men in the darkroom? Let me know in the comments. This has been today's Joe Show. If you like my content, hit the subscribe button. It helps me grow this channel. You can follow me on Instagram at a Joe Show. Otherwise, if you read something good, send it to hijoeshow@gmail.com. In the meantime, I love you. This has been the Joe Show.